Longo went with him, and I think there was a number of riders there suffering as well in that group, because it has been such difficult all day. It's really been pushing on, and the problem is with Contador, it's not only just in this movement before we came on air. He's been in a group earlier on where he went away with Valverde, and the Katusha team had to chase very hard to get him back. There was about 5 or 6 kilometers of a chase, and Valverde was up there also in that group. So it's been such an aggressive day and so much changing for Joaquim Rodriguez and his team. They have been really under difficulty and paying the price.
The chase is more than on, isn't it? Alejandro Valverde trying to ride away. Perito looks as though he's cooked here. Little shake of the head by Joaquim Rodriguez as Alejandro Valverde tries to go it alone. He's going to have to try and ride up to the group ahead of him. He has 2 men in that group. And this is absolutely amazing. We saw Alberto Contador trying to break this man, Joaquim Rodriguez, day after day after day in the mountains, and all that he's done today by switching his tactic to something that I suppose would almost seem self-evident, Sean, if you sat down and thought about it, that Rodriguez has difficulty if you're going hard all the time on the flat, whereas Contador is much, much better at it. Contador is still wanting to push on here. Tirolongo looks as though he's cooked now. What an incredible day. 13.5 kilometers to go, and Alberto Contador is just riding away at the moment, sitting on the rear of Rodriguez, as if to add insult to injury is Jesus Hernandez. For the last 3 days before the rest day, Alberto Contador here in the combined jersey, which he won't be wearing tonight at the moment, has been trying to shed himself of the shadow of Joaquim Rodriguez, only to be pipped to the post just about every time. And so he's changed the tactics. He's mixed the tactics up completely. He tried to force the pace very hard, and with the whole team, and Rodriguez responded to that fine. He tried to break Rodriguez with more endurance, so pushing on time after time after time, and that didn't break him either. And then tried to get him on the steepest of slopes, and didn't manage to do that. So he switched his tactics completely, and he's gone for the flatter attack. Well, you've got to take your hat off to Contador, whatever you think of him. His approach to preparing for races. He is an aggressive racer. He's a proper racer, Sean.
Well, he's been amazing in this race, recovering after being out of competition for 6 months, and the way he's ridden the difficult stages and the past 3 days, what interesting, exciting racing he has put up to us, and he's, just been amazing. And it looked like when you looked at Monday's stage, it was race over, because Joaquim Rodriguez looked so strong in the mountain top finishes, and he was able to match Contador so easily, but as we say, the race is never over until you get to that final line on the final day. And what a turnabout today here, and Rodriguez is definitely not on his best day. There's a problem there. He seems to be suffering. I know the race had been very difficult earlier on, but Valverde and Contador has been, also in the action all day, and Rodriguez had his team, which was riding a lot, but he's not on a good day at all. And sometimes the rest day can have a big effect, and who would have put money on that we would see Rodriguez in trouble on a stage like today? We would have been saying, well, Saturday is going to be a really difficult one. Stage finish in Bordo del Mundo, which is an exceptionally difficult climb to the finish, but it's just a total turnaround and a big surprise to me, and I think it's going to be a surprise to so many people here today to see such a turnaround in the overall classification.
Valverde now has Quintana with him, and Rodriguez is just having to ride for himself, and look at the distance that Valverde has put between himself and the race leader. Don't panic, don't panic. It's Holzer in the car, just trying to say, keep going, don't panic. But I tell you what, Sean, if I was Joaquim Rodriguez, I'd be absolutely having kittens by now.
Well, I think Rodriguez, he's losing time there. We can see when Valverde rides away and Joaquim Rodriguez reacts, but just not able to get into the wheel. That says that he is in big difficulty, and we can see there, the time is growing out. Advantage for Contador is just growing all the time back to Joaquim Rodriguez, the race leader on the road, and it's going to be an interesting one. I'm puzzled to know what is the problem with Rodriguez. I know the race have been difficult and the team has been really stretched, but still, you should be able to watch a guy like Contador and Valverde, the two men who are just following you in the general classification, but for some reason Rodriguez in big difficulty. You'll have to wait and see after the race what is the problem.
What is for sure here, Sean, is that the team have messed it up. Alberto Losada was ahead, but they've only had one man to help him out. Here Valverde's got Quintana with him, but he also having Chausti was up the road as well, and Valverde is riding like a demon as well to try and make up some sort of time. He thinks now, Sean, that if he can keep going, he can leapfrog Perito as well. He has the possibility of doing so. Saxo Tinkoff have had men scattered up the road, and that's helped Alberto Contador up until this point, and then an old teammate in the form of Paulo Tiralongo has stepped in and done a bit as well. So clearly the alliances and the team strategy from Katusha a little lacking today, or more than a little lacking, disastrously so.
Well, the problem is when you're race leader, you have to control the race, and when you get the race, so attacking in the beginning today, well, that makes it difficult to control. And when there's riders getting away, and I suppose the question is, there was a group went away, as I said, with Valverde and Rodriguez, and Valverde and Contador, and Rodriguez was caught in the group behind, and it was his team Katusha who did the chasing. Like, there should be never a situation like that. If you're going well, you're not going to leave these two guys get out of your sight no matter what happened.
How did they do this?
Well, I think it has to be a problem. Rodriguez, he must be in difficulty very earlier on, and they have seen that, and as the race went on, they've just really pushed it more and more. And Contador, to get away from that group of Valverde, Rodriguez must have been in difficulty, and I think he's been suffering all day.
It's one of the most amazing things about cycle racing is that things can unfold on the road all the time. Valverde has 37 seconds now over Rodriguez. Contador has 2:20 over Rodriguez. Contador being able to settle into slightly more of a rhythm, I think. He hasn't pulled out any more recently over Rodriguez, but Rodriguez is completely isolated by himself, and this whole idea of things changing as things go along, it's always the case, Sean. And as you say, they must have seen that Rodriguez, with the huge pace that was being put on earlier on in the day, Katusha would have been doing work to control things and bring things back all the time. Contador already attacked earlier today, remember, and Valverde. They'd already attacked early on in the stage, and I think that within the first 50 kilometers they attacked, and they were brought back. They only got 20 seconds or so, and they were brought back by Katusha. But I think at that point they must have recognized that Rodriguez was struggling to even stay at the pace.
Well, there have to be a reason. I think, when you look at the situation, a group getting away with the two men in the top of the general classification, the Contador in second overall, Valverde in third overall, well, then you have to, be real careful, and you cannot allow them to get any advantage at all on you. And if they do get an advantage, for example, if they attack on a descent for some reason, or they attack when you're not really at the front of the peloton, well, you have to get the team to work, and that's what Katusha had to do, and they closed down that advantage that Contador and Valverde had. But again, as we can see, they're still getting away. Contador got away from again, and the reason being, I think that he's just not in the physical condition to be able to react, and that's Rodriguez's problem. And the other riders have probably noticed that in the earlier part of the day, when the race was very aggressive, they could see a little cracks in Rodriguez today.
Yep. Quintana, job done. Can just sit up and relax a little bit. Alejandro Valverde's ridden up to his wheel. He's pulled him on a little bit. It's Valverde who's making the moves at the moment, Sean. He's making the inroads into Joaquim Rodriguez. The gap between Alberto Contador and Rodriguez is pretty stable now. 220, 225, something like that. Rodriguez is making the moves here now. It's Valverde making the move.
Well, Valverde is going to, keep on pushing, and the advantage for Valverde, he had his team at Quintana there, and he's, joining up with other riders. So it's, a great advantage if there's a rider out of that group which Contador left earlier on. Well, then if they do a little bit of riding with you, it's a huge advantage. Where if you have to ride it all on your own, well, then it's a real difficult one. And Valverde is riding now to push on and try and take as much time from Rodriguez as possible, because
Absolutely.
he's thinking of moving up, maybe getting into second place in general classification.
Absolutely right, and there's another man with him. As we said, the tactic working well, at least the situation working well for Alejandro Valverde. Quintana was there to help him now, and Chausti, I think it is just ahead of him, pushing as hard as he can. You could see the gap is rising between Valverde and Rodriguez rapidly. There's only a few seconds being eked out now by Alberto Contador over Rodriguez, but in the middle, Alejandro Valverde here is pulling away from Rodriguez and getting closer towards Alberto Contador. There is Banyadin Chausti, comes through to do some work. This is wow, we've got a race on here, Sean. This is racing, proper racing. The three big men of this Vuelta a España, Joaquim Rodriguez, Alejandro Valverde and Alberto Contador. It's just like bare knuckle boxing every single day. And to attack on a flatter stage and put Rodriguez in trouble, just exactly what they were looking for. Proper scrapping battles. Meanwhile, we've completely forgotten about what's happening with the peloton. There was a rider, well, I say the peloton, there was only about 25, 26 riders left in it, Sean. So the pace has been so fierce. They are scattered down the road like a Welsh sportive. They're everywhere, Sean. 4.5 minutes back to Froome.
And not surprising after the day's racing has been so difficult, and it's amazing. We've had 3 real mountain days, then the rest day, of course, and the racing has been, just all day full gas, and there's riders, real in difficulty. A combination of a number of things. The 3 big days we had in the mountains, a lot of riders really tired from that and haven't recovered. The rest day as well, some riders don't like that to get started in. And when you look at the route today, it's well, there's 100 kilometers plus, pretty flat, so there's not going to be a problem there. You can sit in the group and follow, and even if it is a bit aggressive, it's not too difficult to follow along in the bunch. But it has been just unbelievably fast all day today, and a lot of riders suffering. And we can see that group of 25 riders as was in the bunch with Christopher Froome. So there's riders scattered everywhere on a relatively easy stage. You would expect the final climb maybe to blow the peloton apart a bit, but other than that, I was expecting this day a breakaway to get away, probably get enough time to go on to the finish, and then the peloton would all arrive together on the final climb of the day. And I think there was a lot of teams and a lot of riders thinking the same way.
Okay, Sean, it's time for us to pull out the sack, open it up, take out as many hats as we have and eat them, I'm afraid, because frankly, I don't mind admitting it, at the end of 2 days ago, before the rest day, we spoke to a few people who were asking us, what do you think is going to happen? We say, well, you never like to predict things because you never know what's going to happen in bike racing. But I reckon those 3 are going to be the top 3, and it looks like Rodriguez is going to be the man who's going to show them the way home. Well, I never.
Well, I think we can relax a bit, because there's a lot of other people going to be eating their hats as well.
Much humble pie as well, I have to say.
Anybody I spoke to during the rest day, they were saying, well, you know, how good is Rodriguez? Like, he's in just super form. It's amazing the way he's able to, you know, mark every attack by Contador on the real steep sections, on the less steep mountains as well. He was able to, every occasion, you know, he was able to control the situation. And here we are today. He's losing, you know, the race leadership on a relatively easy day, because we were talking, yes, Saturday is going to be a difficult one, that final climb, and that we could see a little bit of, you know, difficulty there for some of the top men in general classification. But today, I don't think anybody could have forecasted what we're seeing on our screens.
That's the beauty of bike racing, isn't it? It is the most magical sport in this way. I cannot think of another sport where this sort of effect can happen. Almost, it turns everything on its head completely. This is the remnants of the group that was up the road earlier. Sergio Heino is there, you can see. I think Barkelens, Verdugo, is this Tiralongo back here as well? And Lloyd Mondori. Genier is the rider at the back from Argo Shimano in the white with the green helmet. Sergio Heino for Sky with the blue stripe down the back. Gorka Verdugo is the man in all orange, having a fantastic Vuelta a España, but they must be looking at this. These riders that are watching Valverde come past, Alberto Contador go away, they must be thinking, I'm witnessing something firsthand that's quite extraordinary. I mean, probably even these guys in the peloton didn't quite expect this today.
No, I don't think they would have ever, you know, expected anything like this, where the general classification men would be so much to the fore in the end of the stage, and, you know, Contador to ride away from those guys that have been joined up by Valverde. And I think they were as much surprised to see Valverde coming across, and the race leader, no sign of him. But they will be made aware of that for a number of kilometres, because with the radio from the director sportive into their earpiece, they'll be getting the information. But I think it's a day which a lot of riders will say, well, you know, I never expected anything on a stage like that, and such a change in general classification. And as you go further down the classification as well, it will be interesting as we get to the finish. I think we could see a lot of changes in that top 10, and you know, the big one, of course, is with Contador now riding into race leadership.
Yeah. Here at the back is Alexandre Genier of Argos Shimano, losing contact now with this group because Valverde is pushing the pace on so hard. They're just disappearing up the road. Paolo Tiralongo has given everything he could earlier on our broadcast when we came on live. And this is one of the things about bike racing. They've been going so fast today, and there's been so many different scenarios unfolding that when we came live on air, there was about 30 kilometers to go. Sometimes it would have been 70 kilometers to go. It's just one of those things about bike racing. And Inchausti's doing a fine job here for Alejandro Valverde. This man, Joaquim Rodriguez, what can you say? There's no words of comfort for him tonight that's going to feel enough. Not a single man with him, and not a single man there to help him. No friends either. The two men sitting on his wheel to add insult to injury are Saxo Tinkoff men. Where are all his friends, Sean? This is an interesting thing. It's not as if he's an unpopular rider. He's a very popular rider. I just don't think there's anybody who could possibly help him.
Well, I think it's just a situation as well. You know, there's riders in between, but unfortunately for Rodriguez, they weren't in the in between himself and Valverde, for example. And when Valverde went away, he knew he had teammates up there, and there's other riders as well. We could see there, you know, they were in that original break, and they wanted to push on as well, because you know, they were probably thinking they could get something out of the stage. And it's just an unfortunate situation where he's on the road. There's no riders with interest to ride here for Joaquim Rodriguez. He doesn't have to do it all himself, and we can see there he's losing. You know, Contador to Rodriguez now is 2:43. We see Valverde is at 53 seconds behind Contador at the moment, so it looks like that Valverde is going to, you know, ride his way into second place in the general classification.
Well, I think 3.4 kilometers to go, he's going to catch him. He might even just carry on going. The gap between Alejandro Valverde and Alberto Contador, 1:35 when they started this morning. Valverde is riding up to the wheel of Alberto Contador thanks to the efforts of himself and his teammates Quintana and Benjamin Chausti just ahead here. This man, Alberto Contador, now 46 seconds ahead of Valverde. They're going like a train behind him. If you're just joining us, thinking you're going to see the last 25 kilometers, have a look at that in the top left hand. 3.1 kilometers to go. Why is that? Because they've been hammering along at over 48 kilometers an hour today. Alberto Contador, along with Alejandro Valverde and another 7 or 8 riders, tried to get away early this morning, and Katusha had to control it and bring it back. We'll say early this morning, within the first 40 kilometers or so, had to bring it back. And then attack after attack after attack went from different riders until a break went at about 80 kilometers. It was 80 kilometers out of this 187.3. Run already before the breakaway went. In Chausti and Quintana, because that's important. In Chausti, Quintana of Movistar had gone away. Mollema had gone there. Hernandez and Paulinho of Saxo Tinkoff, also important, as was Paolo Tirolongo of Astana, very important. Gaspard Mondori and Nocentini of AG2R. Losada, although he was there, he didn't have the strength for Katusha. Moncucci and Duque, Vertigo and Landa of Euskaltel. Kunigo of Lampre, Genier of Argos Shimano, and Heinau of Sky, along with Jan Bakelans. Why are those names important? Because they have broken Joaquim Rodriguez. At one time it looked as though Valverde and Rodriguez were broken because Alberto Contador attacked along with one teammate, Sergio Paulinho, and then picked up a former teammate, Paolo Tirolongo, who buried himself for the service of a former team leader here, although they're on different teams now, and they pulled out a massive gap, 2:44 over the race leader, Joaquim Rodriguez. This man will be the race leader tonight, as long as he doesn't completely collapse in the next 2.5 kilometers and Valverde go past him at some stonking rate. Valverde was in the group chasing with Joaquim Rodriguez, and then, as if by saving himself, has just suddenly gone. Picked up his 2 teammates who were up the road, remember, in the break, Quintana and Benjamin Chausti, and they've rapidly started to put time into Joaquim Rodriguez and gain time on Alberto Contador, who's up the road. And Chausti is now gone. It's Valverde himself with Sergio Heinau of Sky, Verdugo, and I'm not sure who the last one is, Mondori maybe. But Contador can't be too far up the road with this helicopter shot. There he is. They've almost caught him, Sean.
Yes, we could see the gap for Contador is coming down. 25 seconds was the last time check, and Valverde is really, finishing very strong. 21 seconds at the moment, so Contador is paying for his efforts. He's been out there for a long time, and of course Valverde went away on his own quite later into the stage, and then he had a number of riders as well who he picked up from his team who were of huge importance to him and pulled him along for a number of kilometres. And it'll be interesting to see will Valverde actually catch Contador before we get to this finish. But it's not a real difficult one here today, as we can see. This final climb, it's a big ring job. It's nothing like we had in the 3 days leading to the rest day. The finishes were like with the 25 or 23% of a gradient. It's nothing like that at all today, and I think that the advantage he has, Contador should be able to hold on.
Nocentini is the last man here. Tell you what, Nicholas Roach won't like that. There's no love lost at all between Nocentini and Roach by the look of it. Valverde is still pushing on. You can see Contador ahead. 15 seconds. Oh, do you know, this race is going to be between these two now, because if Valverde continues to be this strong and he catches Contador, Contador may have knocked off the gas a little bit, knowing he's got so much in hand. You never know. All that climbing, all those times that Alberto Contador tried to destroy Joaquim Rodriguez, and cleverly they've sat down and devised a new bit of planning on the rest day, and they've attacked Perito in the terrain he likes least. Contador has that sort of dancing, explosive style in the mountains. Tried 3 days in a row, clearly couldn't match Rodriguez. So they've gone away, thought, I tell you what, let's try and get him here on the flatter stage, because we know he doesn't like it. If he's suffering at all, we'll break him. And they've done so. I mean, it may have not broken him at all, but it's worked. This is fantastic tactically, and great tactically by the two teams. Saxo Tinkoff, who had men in numbers to help Alberto Contador, and enlisting the help of a former teammate, and also by Movistar, who had men up the road to help Valverde when he finally jumped away from Rodriguez. Joaquim Rodriguez completely isolated all by himself. It's good night Vienna, I'm afraid. Final kilometre in this super fast stage here of the Vuelta a España, Santander to Fuente Day. This is the best Grand Tour I've seen in years. Sorry to say it, I loved commentating on, of course, a British win in the Tour de France. It was a totally different type of tour. Let's not take anything away from the fact that it was a totally different type of tour. But this has been the most fascinating, unbelievably exciting race. And today, well, I'd never have expected this. But well, I suppose when you look back at it in hindsight, they've done exactly what perhaps you would have done, Sean. Sat down and thought, OK, what do we do now? How do we attack Rodriguez?
Well, I think that was the tactic of a lot of teams. You know, going into today's stage, it was going to be relatively a calm stage for the general classification men. Certainly the guys who were up there in the top 3-5 places in general classification. Otherwise, a bit further down might, you know, try to play that game, get into the breakaway and move from 12th to 10th or 9th in the general classification. But, you know, nobody would have been expecting this on a day like today, a stage like today. But that's bike racing, and you just can never relax. You can never, you know, drop your concentration on any stage, because we can see what can happen.
500 meters to go, and Alejandro Valverde is clearly trying to get up to Alberto Contador. He's taken the second intermediate sprint, Contador, and taken not 6 seconds off. The advantage to him then, he's going to take another 12 here. Tactically brilliant racing, aggressive. And, you know, if we didn't have the blight that has affected us in this sport over the last 25 years, you would be hailing this man, everybody, but everybody, some people are, of course, some people aren't, will be hailing this man as one of the greatest ever. This has been an extraordinary day in the Vuelta a España. A brilliant win for Alberto Contador, and he's now race leader. Valverde too, and he sprints for second. Sergio Henao trying desperately to deny him the 8 seconds bonus, but not to be. He will not be denied. Nocentini comes over the line. Valverde gets second with the bonus, and the gap between the two of them, Sean, just 8 seconds.
7-8 seconds I make it, and of course Contador will take that 12 seconds of bonification, but Valverde will also get for his second place 8-second bonification. And as we also have to look at the bonification that Contador took in that final intermediate sprint.
Yep, he took 6 there as well, so another 18 seconds to knock off his cumulative time. This is going to seem like an awfully long wait for Rodriguez fans. Maybe he's managed to pull something out of the bag. Oh, what a bitter pill to swallow for Joaquim Rodriguez. And he will come across the line with 2 of his rivals' teammates sat on his wheel. All the work has to be done by himself. No teammates and no friends. And he'll come over the line and see all the Spanish press massed around Alberto Contador in the way they've been massed around him for the last week. And as soon as Rodriguez crosses the line, there'll be a huge flurry and a dash from Contador to Rodriguez from the world's cycling media. It's probably something he won't want to have to face. What's going to be going through this man's mind now, Sean?
Well, I think he's just concentrating on the job for the moment, trying to limit his losses, as we can see.
He's done not so bad.
Not so bad coming in here, but again, it's going to be, the morale is going to be, a real difficult one for him. 2:05 for 300 metres to go, so he is limiting his losses. I thought it was going to be much more, looking at him with 8-9 kilometres from the finish.
I think Contador had perhaps knocked off the gas a little bit until, or didn't have anything left. Valverde was coming up to him pretty fast. Perito, leader of the race, Joaquim Rodriguez. Leader of the race this morning. What an image. Comes over the line with 2:37 down. And not only, Sean, will he lose first place, he will now be third in the overall classification. Alberto Contador leads the Vuelta a España, having tried to dispatch Rodriguez in the mountains. He's done it on the flat. Rodriguez just wants to get the hell out of it. I'm not surprised.
This program is brought to you by Aspire Academy, inspired by Aspire. CD cycling shoes. Have you already chosen your tire? Because the tire makes the car. Japan quality. Yokohama, your tire.
When we launched the GT Academy and trained a video gamer into a competitive racer, they were skeptical. But Nissan drove Lucas Ordonez from his sofa to become the 2011 Intercontinental Le Mans Cup champion. You think this is crazy? Nissan Performance has so much more to amaze you with. Return to your seat, fasten your seatbelt, and check our website, nissan.eu/live. CD cycling shoes. Japan quality. Yokohama, your tire.
Alberto Contador has taken the stage win here, much to the surprise of this particular commentator. Fantastic piece of riding tactically by this man and this team, Saxo Tinkoff. He's a bit happy, isn't he? And the same for Alejandro Valverde. Tactically astute, brilliant riding, and they've given Joaquim Rodriguez, the race leader, one hell of a kicking. Best part of 2 minutes and 40 seconds behind. He led this man, Alberto Contador, only by 28 seconds at the beginning of the day. And I think we'll be able to grab Alberto Contador. Was that Froome just coming over there? We just caught the very end of it. 5 minutes down, if that's the case. They're just all over the road here, everywhere. The race has been on all day today at huge pace, over 48 kilometers an hour straight away. Lots of people try to attack, people getting away in small groups, coming back, being brought back, and here is the man who took the win in the end. Your emotions, first of all. Thanks very much for everything, says Alberto.
Yo creo que mucha gente diría que donde voy estando tan lejos, ¿no? Pero
a lot of people thought that was crazy to attack from so far away, but I'm not the best of my form, so I knew I had to try.
Está bien, pero lo que hay que intentar siempre es ganar. Y bueno, yo creo que hemos dado un paso importante.
I'm not really happy finishing second. It's not the way I race.
Toda la gente que ha estado ahí todo este tiempo, a mi
I'd like to dedicate this win to everybody who's believed in me, to my father, my family, my friends, and everybody who isn't even here at the Vuelta. You've had many happy days. One of the happiest today? Yeah, for sure.
Ha sido realmente importante, la verdad que poca gente apostaba ya por mí para la victoria en la general. Por supuesto que todavía no se ha conseguido la victoria, pero se ha dado un paso importante.
There was
yo creo que hay otra cosa que hay que celebrar.
Very few people backing my win on this Vuelta, but
esta Vuelta a España está volviendo otra vez al nivel que tenía antaño y bueno.
I've got this to celebrate this one. This is when it's going to be one of the best races in the world this year.
Parecía que se permitía una escapada de 11, no se ha dejado. En ese sentido, la locura de esta vuelta, aunque
this Vuelta has proved to be a sort of crazy, fantastic race so far.
A las fuerzas están muy justitas. Tengo que dar las gracias de una manera increíble a mi equipo.
Well, sort of crazy race, but you know, you've got to thank your team, teammates, Sorensen, Jesus, Bruno, all the teammates. Oh, we seem to have lost the picture there. Here we go. Oh, we seem to have lost the picture. Apologies for that.
En ese grupo en el que os habéis juntado, Paulinho y tú, ahí no entraba nadie a colaborar. Tú tenías claro que
just
era
going on stage, very
vivir o
happy,
morir.
obviously.
Sí, yo para mí esto era
You were in this break, you were in with Paulinho, you knew he was going to give everything. Surprised they haven't asked him about Tirolongo yet.
Que era intentar ganar, nos ha ganado, pero se ha dado un paso importante.
My goal's only been to win, says Contador. I know I haven't won yet, but it's very important for me. There's Paulinho.
Día de alegría para ti. ¿Eres capaz de imaginar lo que está pasando por el cuerpo de Joaquim Rodríguez?
Happy day for you.
Bueno, no sé, no, la verdad que
what do you think is going through the mind of Joaquim Rodríguez right now?
Yo creo que tiene que estar contento, está teniendo un rendimiento impresionante, el equipo suyo está haciendo una carrera
I know it has to be hard,
conseguido, no sé si son 3
but
victorias
he's still going to be happy because he's done a great stage. He's already won 3 stages on the Vuelta. He's sounding like a winner.
Mira, ahora lo que es disfrute de mío y de toda mi
for him
gente, y toda la
overall,
gente que me ha
says
apoyado
Contador.
en este tiempo. Yo creo que al final de un poco del espectáculo del ciclismo y bueno, mañana será otro día.
Enhorabuena, yo creo que el titular es ha vuelto Alberto Contador.
Gracias.
Thank you. Hopefully I've given some sort of spectacle to cycling. Well, I never. Take a big, deep breath, everybody. Well, waiting the official confirmation, not just of this stage, but of the overall classification. Contador gets 6 seconds over Valverde, and Sergio Henao comes in 3rd. Gorka Vertigo, terrific ride by him, 4th, and Ronaldo Nocentini 5th. Bacalans in Chausti, Genier, Paolo Tirolongo. You can see the teammates of both Alberto Contador and Alejandro Valverde scattered through the top 20 here. Hesink coming at 4:48, Talansky at 4:48, that's good riding by him. Tendam at 4:05 continues to impress. Lawrence Tendam, where's Christopher Froome? Where's Christopher Froome? 4:48 for Nicholas Roach. Igor Anton at 4:48. Wait for it. There he is, Chris Froome, 4:58. It was him we saw coming over the line. Rigoberto ran at 5:19. It's the general classification that is the one. Here we go. Alberto Contador now leads Alejandro Valverde by 1 minute and 52 seconds, and Joaquim Rodriguez by 2:28. Rodriguez is 28 seconds ahead of Alberto Contador at the beginning of the day. Froome is still fourth, but at 9:40.